What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and the rumour mill, it's not exactly like pumping, is it, with names? I've got to be honest. As a fan, as a content creator, I try to stay positive, but I try to stay honest, and I try to really give you my thoughts and opinions and where I think the club are. And I try saying sometimes I'm concerned, sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm buzzing. It's just how football is. But this window's scaring me a little bit because, a lot of our best players are being linked with moves away. And although I'm not saying I don't expect that, and actually it's something that you can't exactly say we haven't been used to it in the past, over probably the last 15, 20 years. We had a lot of very, very good players that ended up going to clubs and the grass wasn't greener. We've seen it with Ross Barkley, Lukaku, Joleon Lescott, if you want to go a little bit further, Marouane Fellaini, etc., etc., etc. And all of these players have had these big moves, and I would argue none of them have paid off. And this is what concerns me about Everton is it's no longer the bigger clubs that are looking at Everton. I mean, Newcastle saying that they would put £35 million on the table for Anthony Gordon. Firstly, it's not enough. And secondly, it's Newcastle. And I'm not one of them fans that wants to create a rivalry between Newcastle. I'm really not, because I'm not bothered. Everton have been more successful than Newcastle. The trajectory of Newcastle right now is upwards. They've got the richest football team in the world. They're probably going to have a great 5-10 years. So I'm not bothered about the rivalry. I will not be one of those people. I can't be bothered with it. But it's disappointing that a club that fundamentally has been in the Championship twice in 10 years is trying to get Everton's best players. And what it does show, it doesn't show how well Newcastle have done. It actually shows how poor Everton have fell. And that's what's disappointing about this window, because we're being linked with these players that ordinarily I probably wouldn't be for. But actually, I feel like we're almost beggars can't be choosers. And that's, again, what concerns me. Do I think Tarkowski's a good signing? Yes, I do. Do I think he could have got into a lot of teams in the Premier League? Yes, I do. I feel like he's a very good defender. But some of the other names we're being linked with really concern me. Morgan Gibbs-White, no disrespect, he's pulled up no trees at all when he's played in the Premier League or when he's played in the Championship on loan. I have no idea why Everton would spend £25 million on him. Harry Winks, again, he's a Premier League player. Just about, he's probably in the same category as Tom Davies. So again, concerning. You then get rumours that Calvert-Lewin is attracting interest. So all of a sudden, arguably your front three from last season are all being linked with moves away. And they're the front three that kept us up, along with Pickford, who Everton have moved very quickly to try and offer a new deal. And I absolutely get why. I get it. He's actually becoming underrated. Maybe he was overrated at the start, but I definitely think he's starting to get underrated, because he was fantastic at times last season, and in my opinion kept us in the division. So huge concerns in that front. And then when I look at Everton and I look at the team, there's clearly issues. There's a lot of midfield players that I don't quite think are up to the mark anymore, and whether that is because they had a bad season last season, or whether that's because their confidence is gone, you almost need to freshen up. And Everton don't appear to be in a position to do that. Then you've got these rumours about the takeovers and all of this rubbish about different consortiums being interested and periods of exclusivity, ending. There's key information at the club that comes out by various different means. And again, I'm not against people sharing info, and I'm not for it either. I'm fine. So I sort of sit there and I think, I don't really know what's going on with Everton. I just feel like we're a mess. And it's horrible, because I wish someone would communicate. I feel like Kevin Furwell behind the scenes is probably doing a good job. It looks like he's restructuring. It looks like he's trying to put plans in place for the academy. I respect that. I'm all for that, and I have been. So I just want to see us being linked with players that excite me a little bit. And I'm not expecting us to go and spend 40, 50, 60 million pounds on players this summer. I'm not. But what I am expecting is Everton to strengthen so we can stay in the division and we can use next season as a springboard for the season after, because I think that is a season where we won't have as much regulation around financial fair play and we'll be able to invest a little bit more. So this season, for me, is almost damage limitation. But you don't want to lose your best players doing it and then be in a relegation battle again, because that shows nothing. And that means Frank is under pressure. He potentially gets sacked by October, November, and then we're in the same boat over and over and over and over again. And I can't be arsed with this cycle. I simply want Everton to just go out, sign decent players who will give you a 12th or 13th finish in the Premier League. And I know that doesn't sound ambitious. Trust me. 2 years ago, I did a video that Everton should aim for winning the Premier League, because I believe at the start of the season that should be every single team's mantra. From 0 games on the board, they should be ambitious enough to win the league, but you have to be realistic enough to know that you're not going to. But there's absolutely no harm in saying, the moment we kick off this season, our aim's to win the league, and if you finish 12th, instead of finishing 18th where everyone might expect you to finish, that is a good result. Now, another thing that I wanted to just mention is some of the names that Everton are being linked with. Jesse Lingard, I think that's an okay signing, depending on wages. He's not young anymore. He can't be seen and deemed as a young player, but he had a really good season at West Ham. He did well when he played for Manchester United, and I'm sure he'll still have admirers. Christian Eriksen has now gone to Manchester United, so he's off the table. So if you'd have said to me at the start of the window, Everton are going to be linked with James Tarkowski, Jesse Lingard, and Brozier, yeah, fine. I am happy with all 3 of those signings. Do I think those 3 signings get us in the top 10? No, I don't. Do I think they improve us from where we were last season? Probably yes. We needed a ball carrying midfielder. Jesse Lingard ticks that box. He can play on the wing. He ticks that box. We've got Damari Gray as well. Let's not forget a player that scored 8 goals in a very short period of time last season and scored some crucial goals, specifically one against Arsenal, one against Leeds early on in the season as well. So this is a guy that, you know, if we've needed him to step up, he has at times. We've got a good core of young players. We've got Nathan Patterson. We've got Mikalenko. So we've got a decent basis. It's just you don't want to take your cream of your crop out of it. And that's my worry. And I think a lot of people are also worried about that, because Everton can't afford to lose too many of their better players. You know, if you were saying to me, your team's going to be gutted, Mike, you're going to lose Michael Keane, Alan, Doucouré, Gomez, Tom Davis, and you're going to need to build a complete new midfield. I wouldn't be against that. I wouldn't be against that. So as I sit here now, I sort of just hope that we're being more proactive in those positions that, let's be honest, are very, very under par. And last season, in my opinion, our midfield, bearing in mind the season before, you know, we spent probably £50 million on them. I felt let down by our centre midfield last season. I really did. It'll be interesting to see if any of the younger lads get a go this season. Players like Onyango, again, quality footballer, we believe. We haven't seen him enough in the first team. Again, young players like Dobbin. Ellis Sims is being linked with a move to Hearts for £500,000, and apparently they can't afford to pay his 10 grand salary or something. I suppose that's a lot of money in the Scottish League. Fair enough. So when you look at all of these things, Everton are sort of in a really weird situation where we know what we need to do to improve. We just necessarily can't do it. I would love us to be a bit bold and go for some decent loan moves for some decent players. We've been linked with Stefan Bergwijn. I don't think that would be a bad move at all. I rate him. I certainly rate him for Holland. And I think Holland rate him for Holland. He just can't get into this Tottenham side, which has just added Richarlison to a young Son and Harry Kane attack. So, you know, they're going to be very solid. It's interesting. And then there's one name that's cropped up yesterday, and we need to talk about it. We need to address it, and that's Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley has been linked with a move back to Everton, and I am all for players who need to prove a point. I am. Ross Barkley, at this point in his career, absolutely needs to prove a point because his career's gone down the toilet. Again, grass wasn't greener. However, the way he left Everton, in my opinion, he would basically need to be sensational for the first season just to get us back on side, because I would really struggle with welcoming him back. Not that I'd boo him. I'm not that type of fan. I wouldn't boo him, or I wouldn't be overly happy. I wouldn't be overly sad. I wouldn't be aggressive towards him. But I don't respect him, and I don't respect him for the way he left. And I know there's loads of different conspiracy theories and different ideas about the way that he left and what actually happened. If it was Chelsea's fault, whatever. We lost £20 million in 4 months or 5 months. It was painful. And I think a lot of fans would struggle to just welcome him back. Again, on paper, he's the type of player you need. Ball carrier, can score from outside the box, has got a decent delivery in him. But Ross's problem's always been the vision. The vision, the standing there in that moment and picking the right pass. That's always been an issue with Ross's. He's always been capable of beating players, always been capable of scoring goals. But it's that vision, that moment he has to stop and think. And if you haven't got that in your locker as, say, a number 10 or a number 8, you're going to struggle. Because that is the game. That's your remit. Carry the ball, pick that pass. You can be great at picking a ball and shooting, but you've got to have that pass. And that's what steps players like Paul Scholes and people like that away from you, because they could do both. Frank Lampard could do both. As much as it pains me to say it, Steven Gerrard could do both. Ross Barkley couldn't. He could only shoot. He could only take people on. He couldn't pass. And you can go the other way. You can go to the midfielders that can only pass, and then they get criticised for playing the ball sideways or keeping it too long. And there has to be a fine balance in that position. And unfortunately for me, I don't necessarily think Jesse Lingard or Ross Barkley ticks that box. But where we are right now, do they improve us? Probably. And that's the position we're in. It's pants. It's awful. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. Why would I be? I just hope that something happens and we have some communication from the board, because at the minute I feel like we're a rudderless ship and I'm not enjoying it. This has got to be the one summer in the last 6 or 7 years as an Everton fan I haven't enjoyed. I even didn't mind last summer because I was slightly optimistic. Yes, I know we'd lost Carlo Ancelotti, but I felt like we'd got the right players. I felt like Decore could kick on. I felt like Allen could kick on. I felt the fact that we had, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. I felt positive because of the way the season ended and how essentially we just about stayed up. I'm not positive, and it's really having a knock-on effect with the summer for me. It really is, because we are no longer an attractive club for players to join. It worries me. We've got all these positive things going on behind the scenes, the stadium and whatever, but that's it. And I made this comment in February when we were, I was convinced we were down. We don't want to be known as Stadium FC. And I'm starting to worry that we might be. So, guys, look, I'm leaving it there. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Obviously, literally rumours happen everywhere. We get linked with all sorts of players. And I just like talking about the ones that would, I feel like could happen. Or at least we know the people so we can all relate to them. Players that play in France every every game, or Italy or Spain or whatever. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I watch them every week, week in, week out. There was a player last year that I really rated, and that was Mateus Nunes. And I got heavily criticised for apparently not watching him and not seeing him. So I don't tend to talk about people like that anymore, because there's no point. People don't necessarily believe what you're saying. So yeah, for me, I just want to see a bit more positivity this summer, and that starts with, you know, bringing in a signing that maybe just gets us happy a little bit and gets me going a little bit. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels a little bit dejected by Everton, albeit, look, we'll go into the season buzzing. I can't wait for the season to start. You know, I'm going to be getting the tickets for Blackpool, etc., etc. I'm ready to go. We've just got to hope that the team are in a position where we can at least fight to not stay in the bottom half of the league, and we can at least challenge the top 10. That would be nice. So, guys, look, it's been a pleasure. Keep smiling. Up toughies. Peace.